Okay, so you will see all this. For example, or you will see this. Or you will see this. That kind of things. So, to you, what do you mean by 2x here? What do you mean by when I have a scene, then I have a variable here? What do you mean by this one? How do you view this? What is all this? What do you mean by 2x? What do you mean by 2x plus 3? What do you mean by 2 minus x in trigonometry? Can someone give me the answer? Huh? Yes? Okay, so in simple way, 2x plus 3, and 2 minus x. X is a variable, but the whole thing 2x. When you talk about trigo, other than looking at sin, cos, and tangent, you have to know whatever in the sin, cos, and tangent, what does it represent? What does it represent? The period. Some more? To me, I view it as their angle. So that means from now onward, you have to know that an angle can be written as a what? Algebraic expression. So when you deal with trigo, it definitely have to involve angles. Am I right? It involves angles. So far, how do you measure angles? We measure angles in what? Like for example, I give you a triangle. And I tell you this is equilateral triangle. So what is the value of this angle? You say 60 degrees. So if I put angle theta as 2x, so what is the value of x in this case? So the value of x in this case will be 30 degrees, correct? So you only know how to measure angles in degree, those who didn't take additional maths. Am I right? But from today onward, every one of us have to know how to put the angles in another unit of measurement. Like I measure length in meter, correct? I also can measure length in centimeter, am I right? So today, I'm going to tell you that the angle we learn in calculus, please everyone take out your calculator, set your angle mode in radian. It only works for trigo, it only works for calculus if all angles are measured in radian. So please set your calculator's mode in radian. Go to the mode there, then select. Have you said that? Okay, so now you are safe. So everything in key in must be in radian. And all the angles we give you also most probably will be in radian. So if what happened, the question doesn't give you in radian. So I'm going to teach you how to convert from degree to radian. So this is the first thing that you have to learn. Okay, now they have defined that like 1 meter got 100 centimeter, correct? So now they are going to tell you that pi radian, pi means 3.142 radian. So in short, we write it as RAD is equal to 180 degrees. So this is something, relationship between degree and radian that you must know. So if I want to convert, okay, 30 degrees into radian. So what I do is I take 30, divide by this angle and time pi. So can you please take out your calculator and turn it to radian? Okay, so if I want exact value, it will be pi by 6. Am I right? It will be pi by 6 radian. So from today onward, all the angles, I will mention it in radian. I will not say 30 degrees, I will say pi by 6 radian. I will not say 60 degrees, I will say pi by 3 radian. I will not say 90 degrees, I will say pi by 2 radian. I will not say 360 degrees, I will say 2 pi radian. So you have to get used to it. Maybe you want to take an effort to write down all that and you try to memorize it. The moment I say 2 pi radian means in your mind, you have to know is go 1 round, 1 full round. So when you talk about trigonometry, you are talking about something that is go in cycle. Go in cycle. So why must we learn trigo? Can you give me some daily examples that deal with day in and day out happen again and again the same manner? Can you tell me? What are the things? Repeat. Go in cycle. Every 24 hours, you change again. Opening door. Opening door? Why you opening door? You have to go in cycle? I'm talking about naturally occurrence thing. You're opening the door, yes, I know it deals with angles, but it doesn't go in cycle. We call it sinusoids. If you are learning science, if you are learning physics, you will know that you're talking about oscillation. Pendulum. Everyone know what is pendulum, am I right? So you could repeat, it swing. So it go in cycle. That are naturally occurrence things. And can you tell me the most accurate clock? What style of clock is that? You don't know. I also don't know. When I was in my 3rd year of my university, we have a viva. My lecturers, 3 lecturers sit in front of me and interview me, ask me questions. Can you please tell me, my physics lecturer, can you please tell me what is the most accurate clock in this world? It's definitely not digital clock. Huh? The sun cannot, because sunrise, sunset at different time of the year, because our earth is still at one side. All right. Do you realize there is a difference in sunrise and sunset during the whole year? Like now, sunrise is earlier. At the end of the year, the sunrise is later. Do you realize that? Oh, you don't. Okay. Because you all wake up late. Okay. But sunset, you should know, correct? Yeah. Okay. So the pendulum is the most accurate clock because the time to make one oscillation is always the same. Even the amplitude becomes smaller. I got stuck there. That's why I remember until now, after 40 years. Okay, so naturally occurrence thing, it go in period. That's why when we talk about trigo, we go in cycle. One cycle, like for example, 24 hours, high tide, low tide. Correct? What else? We talk about generate electricity. Yeah, every day. How much it generate and the power used and so on and so forth. So naturally occurrence thing. That's why we learn trigo. So that can help us to understand things that occur in cycle. Can or not? Okay, so now you have to know how to integrate trigo. Okay, before I get into integrate trigo, trigonometry is a section of maths whereby it's totally different from, I would say, from pure maths, like algebra and all that, because they have a specific definition. So when you say sin, cos, and tangent, what sort of things you have? So whatever in sin, cos, tangent, what is it? That represent the angle. I can write the angle in any form I like. Remember that. So that is the first thing in trigo. Okay, so why sin, cos, tangent? What do you understand by sin, cos, tangent? So radian, you know already, huh? What do you understand by sin, cos, and tangent? Why sin pi by 6 is half? You try? Put in sin pi by 6. See whether it give you half or not. Can anyone explain to me why sin pi by 6 is half? Why sin 0 is 0? Why cos 0 is 1? Why sin, the value will never be more than 1? Sin of an angle, why the value will never be more than 1? When your teacher teach you all this, did you ask your teacher about that? Why cos of an angle will never be more than 1? How big the angle is? Why sin pi is equal to 0 also, and cos pi equal to -1? Everyone learned trigo before, whether you learn NMAX or you didn't learn NMAX. Did you ask your teacher all that? Why sin? Why sin? Sin of any angle. Okay, I will put that. Sin of any angle. How big the angle is? Okay. The highest is 1. The lowest is -1. Same go with cos of any angle. Okay, highest is 1, lowest is -1. And tangent of any angle, highest is infinity and lowest is -infinity. And tangent pi by 2 is undefined. Why? Have you ever asked your teacher why? That's why you find that trigo is not interesting at all, because you don't know how it come about. How sin, cos, and tangent come about? Have you ever heard of trigonometry ratio? No? Okay. That is, I'm curious if you haven't heard of trigonometry ratio. When you are in year 7 or 8, when your teacher start to introduce with trigonometry ratio, what is your teacher will tell you? Please remember this SOHCAHTOA. Why should I remember SOHCAHTOA? Did you ask? Like when I talk about Pythagoras theorem, straight away, what sort of triangle come into your mind? Right angle triangle. When I talk about trigonometry ratio, I also talk about right angle triangle. I start with right angle triangle. That's called trigonometry ratio. A right angle triangle. So when you talk about trigo, the important is the angle. So you have to locate which angle am I talking about. So if I am talking about this angle theta, so now I'm not going to put the angle as theta, I'm going to put as variable x. If you want to put theta also, nothing wrong. It's a variable. Okay, so now, in this triangle, which is the longest side? Hypotenuse. So we use H to represent it. Which side is opposite the angle? So the angle must come first. You must locate which angle are you talking about. So the one that opposite the angle is called the opposite. The one that shorter one that beside the angle is called the adjacent. So mathematician define. If I want to talk about sin of this angle, I have to take the opposite and divide by the hypotenuse. That is mathematician define sin. So can you change? No. Now you know why sin of an angle can never be more than 1. Who can explain to me why it can never be more than 1? Yes. Just now you see how I start? I say in a right angle triangle, hypotenuse is the longest. So this one will be always less than or equal to 1. When is it equal to 1? Correct. You are right. So when the angle is equal to pi by 2. Wonderful. You see, I don't have to tell you. I just need to tell you the right thing. Am I right? So when the sin of an angle equal to 0, when the hypotenuse is equal to the adjacent, when the adjacent equal to the hypotenuse and the opposite is 0. When the angle theta is equal to 0, that means I have a right angle like that. The angle is 0. This one, I have a right angle like that. Am I right? Hello? Do you get me? So that means I have sin 0 equal to 0. So now you can understand why sin 0 equal to 0. Why sin pi by 2 equal to 1? That come derived from here. Because I have to get this right. Because always if I didn't get this right, correct, the rest of the, I teach you how to integrate also no use. Okay, now, next one. How about cos? How they define cos of an angle? Hello? You remember your SOHCAHTOA, correct? Is the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So it's also less than or equal to 1. Am I right? So when is the cos of an angle equal to 1? If you have a look at this. When the adjacent is equal to the hypotenuse, correct? That means when you have this situation, correct? That means cos 0 is equal to the adjacent and the hypotenuse is the same. So I got 1. If you don't believe me, you press the calculator. When the angle theta is equal to 0, means the adjacent is equal to the hypotenuse. So cos pi by 2. This is when the adjacent equal to 0. So that's why cos pi by 2 is 0. Got it? This is definition. You have to follow the definition. Yes? Yeah, cos pi by 2. Pi by 2 means 90 degrees. You have to learn how to get used to it. When I say pi by 2 means 90 degrees. Hello? Have to switch your mind, huh? From today onward, always think the angle in radian. Okay, now, when you talk about tangent, how they define tangent of an angle? What is the ratio? That's why we call it trigonometry ratio. It's a ratio between two sides. So it's between which two sides of a right angle triangle? Opposite over adjacent. Okay. When the opposite is 0, when tangent 0 radian, okay, opposite is 0 over the hypotenuse. So you get 0. Correct? So you see, as the opposite increase, the adjacent decrease, correct? Am I right? So the value of the adjacent becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. So the value of the tangent will increase. But until a stage whereby when you get into 90 degrees, whereby is tangent pi by 2, the opposite is the hypotenuse, but the adjacent becomes 0. By the way, this is 0, not opposite. That's why I purposely put opposite at OP. Do you see that? Okay, so something divided by 0, is that an answer? Is that an answer? No. That's why we say this is undefined. That's why whenever you sketch the tangent graph, you have the vertical asymptote. Am I right? Am I right? Did you ask your teacher, why must I put dotted line? Which is more important? This one more important or attendance more important? Okay, here. Am I right? Are you okay? So these are the concepts. Done, Okay, another concept. Why I have this? If the angle is more than 90 degrees, then what happened? I'm doing revision. These are all revision. If the angle is more than 90 degrees, then what happened? More than pi by 2, what happened? Hey, you're as if all your trigo all bye-bye. Give back to your high school teacher. Huh? Negative. Okay. You remember something your teacher asked you to remember, correct? All science teacher are crazy. You got learn that? Or all silly tomcat. If any science teacher tell you all science teacher are crazy, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use all science teacher are clever. By the way, when I say science teacher, include maths teacher, okay? You remember that? Don't. Let me show it to you. Your teacher will start to draw. Then you will start to draw. Then you will tell you, this is called first quadrant, this is called second quadrant, this is called third quadrant, and this is called fourth quadrant. If the angle go anti-clockwise, it's positive. If the angle go clockwise, it's negative. This person who set the trigo topic, you want to be different with others. So anti-clockwise is positive, the angle. So if the angle is here, so what they do? At first, what your teacher do, they define by drawing a circle with the radius, how many units? 1 unit. So what is the coordinate of this point? Can you tell me the coordinate of all this point if the radius is 1 unit? This is 1, 0. This is 0, 1. This is negative 1, 0. And this is 0, negative 1. So the angle, if I have a line on the x-axis, I use red, huh? Okay, so what is the angle? 0, right? So now, if I turn, I make a turn, turn to here. So this will be my angle theta. So this will be my coordinates P, which is X and Y. Correct? So if I draw a right angle triangle, my hypotenuse will be 1. My opposite of this angle, the length will be Y. And the adjacent, the length will be X. Am I right? So in this case, sin theta will be equal to Y divided by 1. This is equal to Y. So they make a conclusion. Any Y, okay, I shouldn't say. So they say coordinate Y of any point that lie on this circle is sin of the angle. So if my angle is here, now I try to draw a circle for you. Now, if this one turn to here, this is the third quadrant. You tell me what is the coordinate Y? If this is my angle theta, yeah. So my sin of this angle will be negative value because the Y coordinate is negative. So that means if in third quadrant, so this is this angle here, this is 0 degree, 0 radian. If the angle come to here, this is pi by 2, here is pi, here is 3 pi by 2. And go back one round, 2 pi, then go on and on. Then this one will be 5 pi by 2. So these are the things. So these are the things that you learn in your high school. And if you see cos of the angle is the adjacent over hypotenuse, correct? So the x coordinate will represent the cos of the angle. And tangent is y over x. Am I right? That's why if it's in first quadrant, all the x and y coordinate of the point P that lies on this circle are positive. If it's in the second quadrant, that means if the angle is between pi by 2 and pi, then sin of the angle will be positive, but cos of the angle will be negative because the x coordinate of the point P that lie on this circle here on the second quadrant, the x coordinate is negative. So this is definition. You just have to follow. And you just have to memorize. And we teach you how to memorize. All science teachers are clever. That means if the angle is between 3 pi by 2 and 2 pi, the cos of that angle will be positive. The sin of that angle will be negative. And the tangent will be negative. Clear? Hello? So this is the thing. So I will get into detail of this when we need it. Okay, done, I have tried to clarify all the doubts you have for trigo. We don't learn by heart, we learn by how people set the rule and we are going to follow the rules. Got it? Okay. So I'm going to teach you how to integrate. Now, don't worry, don't worry. All these things, if you are not sure, later when we come to solve the problem, I will go in detail. Okay, I will teach you how to use this to solve the problem. Can or not? Okay, good. So now we want to go for integration first, then after that, differentiation first, then we go for integration. Okay, now. So now we go for differentiation. Of we so-called trigo function, okay? So there are 3 basic rules that we have to remember. Okay, the first basic rule is, I'm not going to go into first principle. First principle are for those who learn SpecMath. SpecMath, when you talk about trigo integration or differentiation, you will have more difficult one. Okay, now, so first, if I have y equal to a sin fx, the fx is the angle, okay? So remember, fx is the angle. Sin, cos, and tangent is like a function. So be very careful. Okay, so my dy dx will be a. When you differentiate sin, you have cos. Write down the angle. Then time by the derivative of the angle. Can you understand? Okay, give you one example. So the thing is like that. You have to remember here and here. You see or not? That is the formula how it goes. Those learn additional maths in IGCSE, you learned this before. Okay, so for example, I give you given y equal to -3 sin 2 minus x. Okay, so now you try to apply the formula by yourself. Okay, so your answer will be change the sin to cos, copy down the whole angle, time by the derivative of the angle, which is -1. Am I right? So whatever you learn, do you need to know? Yes. Okay, so that is how you find the derivative of sin of an angle. Okay, second one. When I give you y equal to a cos of an angle, so when I differentiate, it will be, okay, negative sin of the angle times by the derivative of the angle. So you have to remember, please write this one down, no other way. Are you okay? Okay, let's try one example. Given y equal to sin 2x plus cos 3x. Okay, please differentiate according to the rule number 1 and number 2. So find dy dx. Okay, start. The first part follow the sin rule. The second part follow the cos rule. So follow the sin rule, differentiate sin, you get cos. Write down the angle, time by the derivative of the angle. Plus, differentiate cos, you get negative sin of the angle, time by the derivative of the angle. So you can write down as 2 cos 2x minus 3 sin 3x. So are you okay? Good. Let's go to the third one. Okay. For the third one is y equal to tangent x. Okay. I want to introduce you what is the relationship between tangent x and sin x and cos x. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I can write down here fx also, but I just, okay, what? If I see tangent x, I also can write down as sin x divided by cos x. So, in order to find the dy dx for this, top here is your u, bottom here is your v. So what rule must you use to get the derivative of this? Quotient rule. V u prime minus, please, u v prime divide by bottom square. Okay, start now.
Course progress.
You have listened to it. So make sure you have this first. Okay, done. Okay, so the third formula for tangent will be like that. If you got y equal to tangent fx. So the dy dx of this will be equal to secant square fx. If you don't like, okay, later I teach you f prime x. So this is a formula that you have to remember. If you don't like to write as this, you can always write as this. Nothing wrong with the way you write. If you can understand this better, you better write it this way. But you have to know that when people write it like that means this. Correct? It depends on your level of comfort. Do you get me? So that is how you differentiate tangent. Yeah? Can or not? Okay, so give you one example. Okay, given y equal to 3 tangent e to the power x. Okay, start. Find dy dx. Follow this formula. Don't go and do quotient rule. Okay. So 3. When you differentiate tangent, you got secant. Copy down the angle. Put square. I go with you. Okay. Then time by, you differentiate ex, you get am I right? Okay. So today, a lot of things. Please, please, please. So trigger, why I want to separate it, the reason is because it is a totally different things. A lot of things, a lot of new things you have to remember. Okay, please key in your attendance.